All right. What about the Golden State Valkyries? You just mentioned them. I need a hat for the podcasts. I have to go find a hat. The team name, I think the Valkyries was suggested because it was kind of logical based on the Warriors.
There's like Valkyries and Amazons. I think what we made sense in terms of trying to keep it in the Warriors theme early, but
Amazons would have been a little bit negative. I think a certain aspect of male fans who would have probably turned that into a negative thing. So I'm
also
happier with Valkyries.
and also what I thought of, like, what are the internet people who create like websites? They call it like SEO. I forget what that term is, but it doesn't have
search
to.
engine optimization.
If your name is the Amazons, you're never gonna pop up first in a search history. It's always gonna be
Who
Mr.
knows?
Bezos.
Who knows if you could even be Amazons, right? Maybe
True.
Bezos has like that on lock.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the name. I didn't want it initially because I just think it's a little hard to say and it doesn't flow off the tongue very well. But I like the colors. I like the logo. I like the explanation. I thought it was a really good rollout. I wanted something a little bit more like Bay Area, like Warriors related. Like I was throwing out Splash and stuff like that. But that's more that's not thinking about this sort of long term. It's kind of thinking about this today. Like what would I call a team today? So overall, what did you think of the whole presentation and the merch and everything?
Yeah. I thought the rollout was insane and was really good how they did it. But going back to the name, I am still a little indifferent on it. But again, I know my grandpa asked about what he thought, what we thought about the name, and I said I didn't really like it, but I don't have a better suggestion. I don't know what would have been a better name. So I'm fine with the Valkyries. I know that
I looked at the team name and I was like, okay, I need to make sure I spell this correctly. You know what it is?
Do you know how to do it? It's just Valkyries.
It's the Valkyries.
Yeah, Zena was saying it's the Val Kyrie Irvings, or someone said it was someone.
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly how to pronounce it. Yeah, and you could go. I'm abbreviating them to the Valks, not the Vals. I think the Valks makes more sense.
I like Valks a lot.
But yeah, no, I think that the rollout was so good. They did the Good Morning America thing. So before any of us were even awake, it was like 5 a.m. So I woke up to the name being announced with the like everything. And so I thought, and they just kept it going throughout the whole day. Like I just thought it was so good getting Kaylani involved. A lot of celebrities, piping in and saying something. I think, is it Tessa Thompson who plays a Valkyrie in the Thor movie?
Oh, yeah.
She jumped in and she was like, well, there's my favorite team. This is now my favorite team. So I think the colors are great.
Tess Thompson is in Creed, man. That's
she's the wife with hearing problems, right?
Yeah.
She's the music artist who has the music label.
Yes.
And so no, I think it was all so good, and I'm super excited. I personally am not that much of a fan of the logo, and it just kind of sounds like I'm a hater, but I think that the WNBA is still in their like 80s to 2000s like retro logo phase, and I love it. Like I think the Fevers logo is great. I think the Seattle Storms logo is great. The Mystics, these are all such quality logos in my opinion. They're the type of logos that, we have our NBA logos right now, but everyone wants the retro jerseys, and they get super excited when the retro jerseys are available because that's the type of logos we're seeing. That's what the WNBA's logos are right now. And I forgot about Gentrification Joe Lacob. He, in like 2008 or 2010, whenever the Warriors changed their logo and then the Clippers changed their logo, and then it was just a domino effect if everyone changed their logo from the cool one to what's more modern and what's more, simplified. And I hope that might be the domino effect in the WNBA. Thanks, Gentrification Joe. Because that's what it is. It's like a modern logo, It's and I don't hate it. I just don't love it as much as I love some of these other logos.
Yeah, like just if you didn't know what it was, I think it's going to be hard to like if you just saw the logo, you're like, what team is that? The Butterflies, like that whole thing. But when they put it together and they did that little, here are all the points of the logo and what it means. Like it is meaningful. It is meaningful to the Bay Area. So I like that part of it. But what they might eventually do, that they may do some more simplified stuff, right? That's the main logo. And you could have multiple logos. You could have, different things that you use for merchandise or for the court or for whatever.
But you want to
I
keep it
looked.
consistent for marketing purposes. You want it to be all the same so that everyone recognizes it at some point and goes Valkyries right when they see it.
I looked. There's no hats yet, though. So
There is no hats. I could have told you that. I've been up and down
anybody
looking.
listening, if you have any, if you're in marketing this team, get some hats on, because it's very easy for me to throw a hat on of the Valkyries and just flash that logo all over my podcasts. Yeah. So we're there's not going to be a ton going on with this team until the next year, when we have the draft and everything, and you can finally put some players on jerseys, and everyone's hoping for Page. But
What are your thoughts on that? So
on
just a
Page,
little bit of background. So they unveil the colors. It's like violet and I think what's that A color? ANTHRACITE.
yeah,
Anthracite.
it's like a dark gray or something, right?
Yeah. And I think it's like a metal or like a material or
It's like a
rock.
coal color.
Coal. Yes. So that's like our colors. It's the anthracite and violet and white, I'm assuming. And Paige Beckers, the projected number 1 pick in this upcoming draft, I think she quote tweeted it, the unveiling, and said, "These are the prettiest colors in the WNBA." And so now everyone's like, "Whoa, what if like we can get Paige?" And then Chano Designs, who, if you're familiar with the Warriors and familiar with the Warriors Twitter, like you're very familiar with that Twitter user, he put out what he thinks, like he just like mocked the jerseys, and then he put it on Page and put a picture on Instagram and said, like, added her and with the jerseys on, and then she commented with like eye emojis. I forgot exactly what she commented with, but she's feeding into this. But what I'm seeing, all the WNBA, all the NBA fans who haven't watched a lick of WNBA basketball, I know they haven't, all the Warriors fans, they're just like almost treating it as if Paige is some free agent with free will on where she will next year. Like this is like, if we end up with the 2nd or 3rd or 4th pick, like we don't get Paige. And what Zena was talking about in the podcast that TK had her on.
Yeah, I still need to listen to that.
So basically, she was like, they don't have the rules yet for how they're gonna do the expansion draft.
I can tell you how baseball and basketball did it. It's like you have a list of let's say it's 8. Like each team could keep 8 players, and then you leave the 4 or how many ever other players are on your roster as available to get picked.
Yes.
And then if someone gets picked from your team, then you could pull one back. And
I didn't know the pulling back.
That's how they did it back in the day. But I don't know if that's how they're going to do it. But it could be something like that. Where we have
the ability to go back and look at how it happened when the Dream came in the league in 2008. Like they have done this before. But what I was trying to say is like apparently like there's no rule set in place that they have to do it like they did when the Atlanta Dream came into the league, right? So when the Dream came into the league, I think they were the 5th pick, which meant they were right outside the lottery, because the lottery is just 4 teams. There were only 12 teams at the time, or 11. And so with 12 teams, 8 go to the playoffs, 4 are the lottery. So the Atlanta Dream picked at number 5, which was right out of the lottery. So the speculation is that it's going to be the same here, but it's not set in stone yet. If the speculation is correct, we're not getting Paige Beckers. We're not getting my pick, Kiki Iriafen. We're in the 5 or 6 slot here.
Unless Gentrification Joe works some magic, man.
He might, man. He really
maybe
might.
He was like, hey, I'm bringing this team in, but we need to get the number 1 pick.
He should flex that, because he is like a top owner coming into this sport, and he's going to make a lot of owners start spending more, which is good for the players. But yeah, work some magic with Kathy. That's the commish.
We'll talk about the playoffs here, the NBA playoffs here in a second. But I wanted to ask you, they're doing like a little party for the team this weekend at or not at Chase, but at Thrive City, which is right the surrounding area around the Chase Center. what is the whole thing? I didn't even see if there were any activities or like what's the whole reason for
So it's
for them
actually
to be
pretty
doing that?
cool. I don't know exactly. Let me pull up I got tickets, so I'm going. I know I mentioned that I couldn't find tickets; they were sold out. But it's a free event. You remember how the Warriors hosted the playoffs at
Mm-hmm.
Thrive City, where you
Yeah.
sit outside and you watch the big screen? You technically had to get tickets to reserve that spot as well, but you're also able to just stand in line, and if there's enough spots, if there's available spots, you'll get brought in. Same
Mm-hmm.
situation with here; they sold out. But because I placed a deposit for season tickets 6 months ago, they gave me a code to get tickets to
Oh,
this
there you go.
thing. So I just used that this morning and got tickets. But if I read the Eventbrite, because it's pretty cool, they're bringing in artists to like perform for this
Mm-hmm.
unveiling. So okay, let me.
Any of the Warriors players going to be there?
I imagine. They haven't listed them yet, but I imagine. So you're
They showed Trace in
in Looney.
Valkyries merch and Looney, so maybe they're stuck around the Bay
So
Area.
NBC Sports Bay Area Zena Kada, who was on the TK Pod, will
Mm-hmm.
MC a program that will feature appearances and performances from iconic Bay Area artists and the Warriors dance teams. Kaylani, E40, Pilo,
40.
will all grace the stage throughout the block party. And there's going to be more artists as well. Unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with them.
What about Mr. Fab?
Uh,
Nah.
Arrive by 2 p.m. to grab snacks and enjoy the festivities and catch all event programming and performances beginning at 3 p.m. Oh, fans in attendance will get access to photo ops, a kids zone, and Valkyries merchandise will be available to purchase for the first time. I bought Valkyries merchandise right when I was able to. It's not going to get here until June 13th. So I might as well just buy a merchandise at that dang event because everything's going to be available and just return everything that gets to me on the 13th. It's kind of annoying. I wanted to wear that stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really cool. And,
You should
you know,
go.
well, it's Saturday, right?
Yeah.
That may be a little harder. If it was Sunday, I might have been able to go. But I know I wanted to go. But what I was going to say is, when have you been able to see the beginning of a franchise? Like,
That's why I'm so excited for this. I've told you this. Like all of our Niners, Giants, and Warriors were like grandpa got to see the unveiling of all those
mhm.
teams. Like, we're just basically grandfathered in through a sports legacy. This is gonna be me being able to like go to the first game and see the beginnings.
Yeah, no, that's why it's really cool.